Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Kamba's World. Happy New Year. Yes, I know it's not the new year anymore. It's February. Yes, I'm late, but I was really busy. But that's not important. The important thing is that I'm back, better, stronger, fresher, and in fact, in better spirits. So, that being said, welcome to another episode of Kamba's World. I want to wish you guys a happy new year, and I pray that everybody gets to grow, gets to evolve, and be the best version of themselves. That being said, today's going to be a nice episode. We'll be catching up, and I'll be talking about growth because I just realized a certain thing about growth that I would like to share. Anyways, that being said, like I said, like, share, subscribe, and at the end, leave a comment. Now, let's get straight into the video. Yes, so growth. What inspired me to talk about growth today is there's sometimes you go through similar incidents in your life. There's a reason why people say if you look back, it's almost like all your exes have certain things in common. I don't know what it is about us, but sometimes it's almost like we attract similar people, similar scenarios in our lives. And I've listened to a lot of interviews because I'm really into all this mental health. Um, I'm just trying to understand how we get to experience some of these things that we experience and why we have some of the patterns that we have. Because human beings, we do have patterns. And if you look at your pattern, it's like they look really alike. And I had to figure out what my pattern was. And I kind of figured it out. Um, I had a problem with people pleasing, a big problem. To a point where it's almost like other people's opinions about me mattered more than my opinion about myself. Heck, I didn't even know my opinion about myself anymore because I had already lost myself in trying to find the good graces of other people and trying to be accepted by other people. I'd lost my own self. Like I was whatever people thought I was, or people said I was. What am I teaching? I was what I was what people said I was. So I was really, always being very nice. And to just get that validation, basically. So just like every castle or every house that is built on a shaky foundation, it go cast. Know how you want that it go cast and it casted. Because unless you really have your sense of self has completely died, at some point there will be some pushback. Like that version of yourself that you have buried deep down underneath layers of trauma will still be, pushing, trying to find their way out, like, help me out, please. I'm still here somewhere. So that version of yourself that is the core of who you are will still always try to come out every now and then and try to speak up. And that version, and while the version of yourself that has adopted to the norm, that has, succumbed to other people, that is doing well in the world, like that you think that is the people pleaser, that is trying to get in the good graces of others. That one is, moving about in the universe. So when there's that clash between the core of who you are versus the version that you have morphed into to please people, there's always that conflict. And those conflicts are the things that lead to evolution. So when those two versions of yourself clash, two things either happens. Either you grow from it or you even retrogress sometimes because when you are trying to the core of who you are is trying to struggle and come out and you suppress it, that means you are retrogressing. Instead of growing, you're going backwards. So yeah, that happened. And the version of myself that was for other people started to collapse before my very eyes. And it was very heartbreaking because at that point you begin to wonder, who am I again? Because the version of yourself that you know is the version of yourself that is so dependent on everybody else's opinion. And now you now have to ask yourself, who are you? But there's no answer because you did sit down to construct or even ask yourself who you were or decide who you wanted to be. You didn't know the things you wanted because you didn't even know the things you didn't want. It was just anything goes. As long as everybody's happy, you're happy. Until you're not. They tell you jump, you're like, how high? How high? Do you want me to jump to the left, jump to the right? And then the day they finally tell you, jump, and you're like, why am I jumping again? That also brings conflict between you and the people that are used to that version of you that takes just about anything. It causes problem. So there's the internal conflict between you, yourself, and the version of yourself you have suppressed. And there's also going to be conflict between you and the people that have become used to the version of yourself that takes rubbish. That's the version they like. That's the version they've come to know. So when that conflict happens, one version will win. Your real self will win, or the one that people like. Anyway, so that happened like over a year ago, and it forced me to actually, question everything. It made me question everything, and I kind of fell into a dark spot. I won't even lie. And yes, music, um, listening to other people, honestly, listening to YouTube, praying again, and everything kind of, step by step, I got back to myself. So, and there's one thing I've noticed about the universe. Even when you finally are aware of your shortcomings and you're aware of your problems, and you decide that I'm going to change, somehow, later along the line, the universe will bring back that demon you thought you are defeated back to test you to see if you really defeated it. So, like I said, the universe will bring the demon that you thought you had defeated, that issue, that energy that you've tried to overcome, to bring it back. And sometimes that is the opportunity you need to actually grow and to implement all the skills you have acquired. And some other times, unfortunately, you fall back into your old ways because it is your old ways after all. It's something you've done for the longest. And that's the one that comes more natural to you. So, that being said, I had thought I had overcome the spirit of people pleasing, of people pleasing, and of dimming my light so that other people feel comfortable. Because I'm loud. I sing, I dance, I act, I write. I'm extra. So sometimes when you are being your extra self, some people just like, she don't do too much. And when you're a people pleaser, if you want to please people, you begin to say, okay, maybe I should just, reduce. Let me not tell them everything about myself. Let me just tell them I only sing. Let me let them not know that I can do this. Begin to shrink. So all of that had happened. And I was getting back to myself. I was beginning to write again. I was beginning to become myself again. I could feel myself being creative again. For a long time, I wasn't writing. I wasn't writing poems anymore. I dumped everything because I feel that creative version of myself, I buried. And the people pleasing side of myself rose up. So and I was getting back to myself again, starting new relationships, new work. And of course, the universe tested me and brought agents to try me. I'm a picture of peace, but I can also bring the war. So yeah, this person from the get go, I already sensed that this person is sounding condescending. And whenever I meet condescending people, I just try to, be like, okay, cool, no problem, and just try to be all laughing and joke, even though they are trying to be shady and insulting. I'll just try to smile it off and brush it off. This one was quite different because even when I was trying to laugh with this person, when she's being maybe condescending or aggressive, she had a problem with my smile, with me laughing. Like when we're maybe having a conversation and I see that it's going left, I'm just like laughing or smiling in my head, trying to tone it down. The person's like, "Why are you laughing?" No, no, no. What is funny? Why are you laughing? Blessing. Is anything funny? And I'm like, hey, hey, do you know about me? I don't agree with anybody again. Oh. So yeah, at first, it was just subtle, but it kept getting worse, and it got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore because I just saw it for what it was. This is similar to what I have tried to overcome, and I'm not going to cower. I'm not going to bend. I'm not going to shrink anymore. I will stand on my rights. I'm going to demand that I am respected and I'm spoken to right. And in growing, sometimes you might not know everything that you want, but you need to know certain things that you do not want. You need to know your boundaries. Like you might not know everything you want, because human needs are insatiable, and the more you grow, the more you begin to realize you want things that you didn't even know you wanted. So that want, right? But there are just certain things you should know that okay, fine. I might not know where I'm going to, but I for sure know where I am not returning back to. And I think in that moment I knew that I'll be damned if I return back to that girl that took rubbish, that took abuse, And when people try to diminish me, instead of standing up for myself, what I do is I'll take the abuse, I'll take the insult, I'll take it all, then I'll come back home and cry. That's what I used to do. That is what I used to do. I will take it, I will come back home, I will cry, I'll clean my eyes, I'll try to be strong, I'll come the next day. They will hit me again. And while I took that for a very long time, it really, really affected me. I didn't realize how much wound was growing inside until one day the tilting scattered. Like there was no more abuse left. Like there was no more abuse I could take. Like it had gotten to this point, to a point where I was losing. It was too bad. Like I'm not gonna go back there, but I shall say I'm not gonna agree again. Next time, when somebody's coming with me with that, when somebody's coming at me with that energy, I will not take it. If worse come to worse, I will just um cut it off and say my goodbyes. So yeah, this person came. I'm working, in talent management. I manage talent. The person I'm working with is wonderful. She doesn't have any problem. We have a great working relationship. I meet this person. I sense some sort of energy, but I still try to be positive. But it started getting to a point where it couldn't work anymore. And she started, trying to diminish me. Was being abusive, was being rash, hard, was just gaslighting me basically. When somebody's insulting you, but at the same time acting the victim and crying like, "Hey, look at what this girl did to me." But I'm here thinking, am I crazy? And I've been gaslit a lot of times in the past, so I know that feeling. So I told the person I was working with, I said, "I'm not going to work. I'm not managing this person again. I know do." Because one of the things that I have decided, see, I've earned good money, when I was working in the fintech, and I left that money because I was losing my mind. I was going crazy, and there are certain things that money cannot buy. So one of the things that I'm grateful for, and that I've told God, and that I have agreed with myself, is there's no amount of money in this world that would make me take abuse. Never. That would make me accept the rubbish. That would make me be in a place where I am talked down on. That will put me back in that position where I begin to not like where I forget myself and I begin to wonder who am I again? Never ever in this world. I now know who I am. I am Queen Kamba. Do you know that name? Kamba. There's a lot of meaning to that. So I'm not going to ever let anybody put me in that position again. So I told the person, I'm not working with this person again. I was so furious that day. It was mad. She was angry. She was saying, I said, no, voila, I don't do it again. The matter end. The person didn't even send him, and I don't, because like two people coming at you, and one is saying this version of this story, one is saying like I can get it, can get confusing. So months later, months pass, I'm no longer angry again, and that's when you have the ability to forgive and forget quickly, it's an advantage, but it can also be a disadvantage because if you forgive quickly and you forget quickly, like of course I won't forget what happened, but like the anger is no longer there. It's a good thing. It's great for my peace. But sometimes you need to remember because it's when you forget that people will try. So yeah, like it's important to remember, and it was like okay, I'll come by, yeah, let's try again. But some people don't ever change, and I was able to just be like, you know what, this is not going to work. I'm not. There's no need to force anything. The more you grow, the more you understand that goodbye is part of life. Letting go is part of life, and there's a problem when you hold on to something that wants to go, because you just need to hurt yourself, and you would take insults. You would, be fighting a lost battle. So in life, goodbyes is something we should embrace. Goodbyes are not fun, but they are important. There's a reason why death is part of the life cycle. Like I mean, evolution, everything. There's always death in it. Some things have to die for some things to be born. Some relationships just have to go. There's no need forcing something that doesn't want to work, and being okay with goodbye is part of growth. And so
Sometimes you have to be unapologetic about your goodbye. Sometimes you don't have to second guess your goodbye when you've already gotten the sense that this thing is not going to work. This work relationship will not work. It's better you nip it in the bud from the get-go. Because you extending the whole thing will not change what is to come. People don't change like that. People have patterns. I have patterns. Other people have patterns. Now it's left for me to look at my own patterns and say, this thing, I'm always repeating this pattern. Let me change. I have a better chance having a better life trying to change my own pattern than I do trying to change someone else's pattern. Like, I cannot help you. I'm barely helping myself. So how am I going to help you? So yeah, there's no need to quarrel. When you see that you and somebody, you guys are clashing, there's no problem. Just say your goodbyes and nip it in the bud, because the earlier you say goodbye, the better it is for you to even salvage that relationship or that working relationship. You guys can still work later in the future. Maybe if you both have grown. But if you don't say goodbyes and cut off when you should, when the signs are there, and you extend it, things will get worse to a point where you probably will see each other and not even greet. Like, I felt so awful about this person after the last conversation because it wasn't any better than the first one. So that first time was enough for me to say no. Well, no, I had to just be myself. I'm like, you know what? Since I'm not so angry anymore, maybe I can still work with the person. And the person reminded me why. You pay for the lessons you choose not to learn. Instead of me to learn my lesson quick, I still say no, I want to learn it one more time. And once you want to pay the price, you will pay. Don't worry, you will pay. And so after paying the second price by receiving fresh new insults, because you cannot expect banana from a coconut tree. When somebody has shown you who they are, why are you arguing with them? Believe them. When somebody has shown you they're full of shit, they're full of shit. So yeah, and that was that. So the second time around. But the beautiful thing about all of that was the way I handled that conflict is way different from the way I handled conflict in the past. Before, I would, not defend myself. I would take the insult. I would be scared of the confrontation. And then I would, go and cry in my room, and I'll be sad, and I would call my friends and vent. Now I don't call anybody vent. I only call to tell you the gist of how I stood up for myself and how the person said one and I said two, and we rabarini. What rabarini means is that rabarini is a word in Hausa that means when the both of you, like when you're open for each other, like everybody draw line, like when you've drawn line, everybody stay your lane kind of, yes. And so we rabarini. That's the only story I'm going to be telling. The only story I'm going to be telling my friends is how I did not take rubbish. I'm no longer telling stories of how, oh my God, they did this to me. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not saying that I have it all figured out. No, I don't. But for the little that I can control, I'm not going to allow anybody to victimize me. I'm not going to do that. I'm not a victim at all. I'm not going to let anybody victimize me. If you say rubbish, I will call you out on your rubbish. If it stinks like shit, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say that thing stinks like shit. So if you don't want me to call you out, don't be a fool. But if you're a fool, I'm going to call it out. I'm not going to dim my light for you to shine. I'm not going to bow so that you can feel tall, because this is who I am. And it took some time, but I'm there. And looking back, that incident, tested me to see if all the healing I said I've done, all the self-work I've done, if all the growth I think I've done, if it really did work. And yes, it has worked. Now, there's something my brother always says, and he says, if you have to defend or tackle in football, it means that you have done something wrong. Because if you had attacked properly, you won't have to defend. So, granted, even though I'm a great defender, meaning that when push came to shove and when the person came on some bullshit to try to demean me, I was able to stand up for myself. The truth is, there are certain things you put in place where you won't even have to get to that point. The person won't even feel comfortable enough to even try and open their mouth and say rubbish. If you set boundaries early on, it won't ever get to that point. So the lesson that I've learned from that is, in my evolution, I need to evolve to a point where I can set boundaries early on. I'm still never going to lose who I am. I am Kamba. I am a happy person. I'm going to always laugh. I'm going to always crack jokes. That's who I am. But at the same time, when I sense rubbish, when I sense people that are mad, I need to just draw the line quick, so that we don't even get to that point. And yeah, those are some of the lessons I've learned. However, if I don't attack properly, like in football, like if I make that mistake of not setting boundaries early in time, I damn sure when things come to, I show me there, I say, I will stand on my 10 toes and call you out for your bullshit. Because I'll be damned if I let anybody demean who I am or diminish the wonder that is Kamba. I like that. The wonder that is Kamba. That's a nice line. Anyways, that is it on growth. In life, you always grow, you always get similar experiences, and it's all an opportunity. So at first I said like the universe testing me alone, but I think it's also the universe giving you an opportunity to actually implement the growth that you claim that you've experienced and some of the skills that you've acquired while finding yourself. So that's the universe giving you an opportunity to actually grow from where you were. And if you do fail and maybe you still fall back to old habits, that is also the universe showing you that, okay, you still have some lessons to learn, you still have certain things to do. So now I don't just break down if maybe I make a decision, I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And then I flop because old habits die hard. So sometimes you're already used to, acting a certain kind of way. So I forgive myself quickly. I try, because I'm still very hard on myself sometimes, but I try to forgive myself quickly and just keep grinding and making sure that I try to grow. And I hope that you grow. So if you ever have if you've ever had an experience like that where you feel like you've dealt with something and then it came again, probably through another person. Like, it's funny sometimes how you deal with an issue with one person, and before you know, a few months later, a totally different person, you find yourself in that same similar scenario. Like, it's always like, what's going on? But I guess it's just the universe trying to hold the mirror up to your face and show you that, okay, this is a pattern. How are you going to do it? Are you going to fall back in line and repeat the same thing, or are you going to break the yoke? Oh yeah. Anyways, that's it on today's episode of Kamba. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. Every episode I try to, be entertaining, be dramatic as usual, but at the same time speak truth to power and try to be positive and share some of the things that I've learned along my journey to self. And I hope that you find this entertaining, but most importantly, you find it inspiring. And on that note, I want to say thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. I might be reviewing some Netflix shows, maybe Love is Blind. I don't want to start it because that show is on something else. Like, I can't stop when I start. I don't have that much patience. I would want to watch everything because I don't get time. I get assignments to do. So